Definitely. I fight every day to be super positive. I fight every day to do the right thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like so many times people can see me a certain type of way and not understand that what's internal is way different. You know what I mean? I got a fire in me. I got an anger in me. I got a passion in me about things. You know what I'm saying? And so I gear all of that towards protection. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how I channel it. Like, okay, I got all this heat on me. It's just to protect the people I love. It's not supposed to be used for mindless aggression.
Right.
It's not supposed to be used for something else that's not for good. You know what I mean?
Right,
Yeah,
right.
I think that's been a struggle. When you use the term duality and having the good aspects of you and the evil aspects or whatever, I feel like that is so true in fighting for the light, fighting for the positivity.
Hey everyone, let's start healing. I'm Adrianne Murchison, and welcome to the Let's Start Healing podcast. We have more in common than we think, and what we have in common can change the world. Well, this episode is a good one, a special one for me, because I am joined by my niece and my nephews. My niece, Tanya Anderson, my nephew, Justin Murchison, and my other nephew, John Russell Murchison, who we call Russell or Russ or Little Russell. So he and Tanya live in Virginia. Justin lives in Denver. I'm here in Atlanta. And this was a great opportunity to really get on the microphones all at the same time under the same roof, which we were at Tanya's house. And that took place this past holiday weekend. Well, let me give you a little backstory. They are my brother's children. Both of my brothers have passed away, as well as my parents. And my brother, Russell, who we would refer to when he was living as Big Russell. Little Russell is his son. And he also has another son, Ben, who's in Louisiana. And it would have been wonderful, wonderful if Ben could have been in town and a part of this. And then Jeff, my brother Jeff, his son is Justin and Tanya is his daughter. Jeff passed in 2014 and Russell in 2022. Losing both of them has been a foundation shifting experience, because growing up from the time I was a toddler to adulthood until they were gone, they were a balance for me. Jeff was emotional and Russell was logical. And they both had both of those traits, but they presented in the way that I just described. And so it was a real balance for me. And I'm bringing that up to share with you, but also because that comes up a little bit, just their nature comes up a little bit in the episode. And again, it's a real experience not having anybody in my first family, my immediate family, still living. And so they are my closest immediate family, literally. And it was just great to do this. And we get into some conversations. Some of it is deep, some of it is light, a lot of laughter. But I mean, we talk about things like being present, the art of distraction, stress, communication, oh my gosh, loss, grief. We talk about a lot of things. We make a lot of different twists and turns. So just to give you a little context, I believe that every family is dysfunctional. That's just a belief that I have. I haven't met a family that I can think of where I'm like, I don't see any dysfunction in this family. So my family is as dysfunctional as the next. I will say that one of the beautiful aspects of my family is that we do show up for each other no matter what kind of agita is going on. We will be there for each other. And we've had some good times. We've had some good times with the three of them. I used to go visit them in Virginia. My mom was my mom moved back to Virginia after my father passed, and I would go and visit her Christmas, holidays, other occasions. And so I just watched them grow up. And it was something because when Tanya and little Russell were just toddlers, I would fly in and, they would meet me at the airport and they would run up to me. My mom would bring them to the airport and they would run up to me. And oh my God, they just loved me so much. And I used to think, "Ugh, let me just soak this up. Let me just soak this up." Because at some point they're going to be like, I don't want anything to do with her. And so that hasn't really happened. I mean, maybe a little bit here and there, but for the most part, we have been in each other's lives. I'm really grateful for the relationship that I have with them. My mom moved to Atlanta in the later years of her life. I was living in New York, and then I came to Atlanta because my mom and I needed to live together because of her health. So we started having family gatherings in Atlanta, especially when it came close to uh, the time when her health started declining. When my brothers would come in town and their kids would come in town, and we would just, even though it was for a sad occasion, we still would have a really good time. And then after my mom passed away, I wanted to run a marathon. And I asked my brother Jeff, who was living in Alaska, to train me, and he trained me over the phone. And when I ran that race, I had asked my brother Russell to come from Louisiana to support me in running the race. And as it turned out, Russell and Jeff came, and their kids came, and Justin and his friend and Ben, Russell's son in Louisiana. It just became a really, really nice event. And then we started as a family. We would run for years. We've been running for years off and on. I mean, we ran consecutively for years from 2006 up until either 2012 or 2013. We ran every year. I ran every year, and then they would come, and then in that time frame also little Russell started running as well. So he started running, I think his first race was like 2009, and he started running, and now he's picked up the mantle in Virginia. So we've had family gatherings in Virginia where we're showing up to run the race, support him for the race, or run as a family. We ran in 2016. It was Tanya and her family, her husband. I'm pretty sure her husband joined, and then it was her 3 kids. We were running a half marathon, and I think they ran like the first part of the race. They had like a race within a race, and they ran the first part of the race. And then Ben and Justin and Russell and me ran the rest of the half marathon. And we had the t-shirts on because it actually fell on my brother Jeff's birthday. And so we had 2 different versions of t-shirts made in honor of him. And we have last March, we ran in Virginia. We ran the Shamrock half marathon. That was fun. My feet hurt, but that was fun. So we have been doing different things as a family. And because this comes up a little bit in the conversation. And then also what comes up are cruises, because Justin's mom, his mom's side of the family, they are cruisers. They will cruise for any kind of celebration, graduations. I'm feeling good right now. Let's take a cruise. I'm just kidding, but kind of, sort of. They really, really cruise a lot for years and years. So I've joined them on a cruise. Tanya and family has joined them on cruises. I was on cruising with them in 2017, 2018, and also this past August. So that comes up in the conversation and just alluding to these different things. And I just wanted to give you a little bit of context. I don't know. They're a trip, and I know they think I'm a trip, but we have a good time talking. I hope that you find this conversation fruitful because, as I said, we talk about some deep things that really occur in almost everybody's life. So here we go. Let's meet them. Let's get started, and let's start healing. Hey, we are here. We at Tanya Anderson's home. I'm not nervous. I'm in my happy place. I'm with my family. I'm podcasting. I'm in my happy place.
Indeed.
So, thank you for doing this finally. All right. We're all in the same place. We've podcasted individually, and now we're all together. And I know the perfect question to start out with because Justin and Russell were just talking about it. Tell me how you're doing and what presence means to you. Because Justin, you said you're in the moment now, and this is new to you. So what does presence mean to you, and how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. To me, presence just kind of means staying in the moment. No phones, no cameras, just kind of talking to each other, being focused on what's in front of you. You know what I mean? And appreciating the person's value that they're offering you at the moment. I'm doing well, though. How's everybody else doing?
Chilling, man.
Yeah. How you doing, Russell?
Oh, it's on me? Man, listen, I got a almost 10-month-old. I'm in that father mode. So that's pretty much what it is. You wake up, make sure the baby's still breathing, do that, and everything is cool. But I'm always present. I feel like that's kind of like just how I am. I got to go with the flow. I got to do whatever, is important to me in the moment. And that's just how I move.
Right. Tanya, how is presence for you, and how are you today?
I'm great today. Today is a good day, like you said. It's nice being around family, especially when you don't get to see them much, even though there are no excuses for some.
Out the gate.
Shots.
Out the gate.
I'm just playing. but I'm good. As far as presence, I agree with the both of them as far as just being in the moment, not always being on the phone, not always allowing yourself to be distracted, which is a favorite coping mechanism, distraction. So taking the time to eliminate the things that could distract us would be what presence would be to me.
So what's like distraction do for y'all? Like for people who feel like they need to be distracted so that they don't have to like deal with whatever's bothering them at the moment.
Sometimes you need a break, man.
A break from what though?
I think the day-to-day can just be real stressful, especially if you're a high, ambitious person that got a lot of goals that always feels like you're not going fast enough. You know what I mean? Or you're not doing it on pace with your storyline, you know what I mean, that you set for yourself. I think the day-to-day can get real hands-on, high frequency, high energy. And by the time you're done, you need a second decompress. You know what I mean?
I think distraction can be healthy as long as it's in balance. Mm-hmm. Sometimes people take the need for distraction too far, and then they don't do the things that they need to do, because they've embraced that and relied on that as their primary coping mechanism, but it's definitely needed and healthy as long as it's balanced out appropriately.
Distraction is good when we're focused on a problem, some kind of issue that we take as negative, that's really troubling us, and then we're like in the minutia of it, and the distraction can shift the energy. It can make it a lighter.
I was only asking that question because I guess I'm not the type of person that like looks for a distraction, because I'm kind of heady in my own thing, but I feel like everybody's always in their own head. So when somebody says, I'm looking for a distraction, or I need a distraction or a place to escape, I'm just wondering what that is, because it's not the same for me. Like when I'm in there, I'm just in there. Like whatever it is, I'm confronting it. I'm dealing with it. To the point where I might not even express it out loud. I just deal with it. and I don't want a distraction because it's almost like what you asked me earlier. You said, don't you hate when you lose stuff? And I was like, I don't lose stuff often, but when I do, I hate it. It's like I have to stop what I'm doing and find what I lost. It's the same thing when I got an issue in my head. If something's bothering me, then the whole thing is, all right, I got to figure it out.
Right.
There's some things, though, that you can't fix and you can't control, though. And fixating on it, you know what I'm saying?
I don't worry. So that makes sense. I'm not a worrier. Like, stuff I can't control, I just let go.
Yeah.
Like, real stuff. Like, even the situation with, like, my parents passing, like, it hurt. The whole process hurt. But there was never, like, a lostness for me. Like, I wasn't lost. I was just in the pain of what happened. But I was never like, oh, I can't deal with what's going on with either one of them. It's just, it hurt. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
You felt the loss of them, but you didn't feel lost, like L-O-S-T.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's heavy. I was lost.
Yeah.
Why do you think you feel that way? Or why did you feel that way, I should say?
I think age. I think age was just a big factor. You know what I mean? I was 21.
Yeah.
So I was kind of in the peak of when a late boomer starts asking those questions that only their dad can answer. Yeah,
For sure.
And so I never got to have those grown man conversations the way I wish I would have been able. Like, I think we would talk way different now, and there'd be such a high level of understanding now. You know what I mean? That I think for me got stronger as I got older.
Definitely.
And so with that kind of being cut a couple chapters short, I think I didn't have a compass for a second.
And let the audience know you're 32, right?
Yes, 32. So, you know, we were talking, 10 years ago? 11 years ago?
I mean, that makes a lot of sense in that regard. I guess I feel like that would still correlate to what I'm talking about with the pain. Like, I'm no different in that situation, right? Like, Now that I'm in my 40s, it's kind of like, okay, well, it's a whole bunch of shit I would love to ask my dad.
Yeah.
It's a whole bunch of shit I would have loved to ask my uncle and my grandfather. You feel me? But it's kind of like I still had a particular foundation that was like, all right, bet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know what my dad would have wanted from me.
Yeah.
I know exactly the person he was. He knew who I was. So anything that happens after his passing, I have a full understanding that he would have seen it in the way that I needed it to be seen. You just don't have that confidant, or you don't have that advisor anymore. But
Yeah.
I feel you though. For UT, my bad. If you have an answer.
Well, what I'm learning is that I'm grieving now, but it's not over the loss of a human. Mm-hmm. You know, it's over the loss of my property. Mm-hmm. And even though I keep my head, I stay focused, and it's about the doing and the task of trying to put it as much back together as you can. And very solution focused, I still internalize that pain, and it comes up in my sleep.
You want to give context? What you're talking about?
I'm about to ask that as well.
If you feel like sharing.
Dang, I kind of feel like Tanya. I felt like she did enough, but
Well, I mean,
I really feel like that.
Listeners,
The answer is no.
That's why I said it that way. It wasn't a loss in terms of you had to surrender your property or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm not broke.
It was a violation. It was a violation.
Let them people think what they want. Right?
No, but yes, it was a violation.
Yeah.
On so many different levels, where we had a home that was my dream home, not so much because of how it looked, but because it was something that me and my husband had accomplished together. Right. And it was something that I really felt like I felt like it was a gift from him.
Yeah, I get you.
You know what I'm saying? And so we rented it out because I had to move because of the military. And we rented it out, and the first time it went great, and the second time it went horrible. And even though we have been doing what we have to do to try to salvage what we can. Try to salvage what we can. It's still painful. And definitely. As much as I thug it out while I'm awake, when I go to sleep, the dreams that I have shows me how much anger I feel, and it shows me what I'm feeling, and it's nothing I can do about it.
Have you always been an avid dreamer, like a vivid dreamer?
It comes and goes. It's not frequent, but when I'm feeling something intensely, it always comes up through my dreams.
Understood.
Well, so I want to say that I'm doing good. I went to the beach, me and Shiloh.
How was that?
It was wonderful. The ocean is so incredible for me. Very serene, very present. The ocean isn't God, but I talk to God through the ocean. I call the ocean you. And I'll say, look at you, and it's just incredible for me. So I love it. And I'm grateful that I've been able to be at the ocean a lot of times this year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really happy that we're sitting here right now.
That's what's up.
So,
I was going to say, I don't think I've been back since March when we did that.
Really?
Marathon. Yeah, I live in Colorado, so this is my first time back in Virginia.
But what about your travels? Have you been to the ocean during your travels?
None. I think all I've traveled to outside the cruise we all took was Texas,
Mm-hmm.
and that's really been it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
That's new for you.
Life. Speaking of, I'm talking over
No.
you. So I was saying, speaking of cruises,
yeah.
he's got to go on the next cruise. I feel like it's.
Gotta let me know,
I feel like we're at the point now where you just can't miss that.
Gotta let me know.
It's
Let
a
me
thing
know.
now. I feel like
When everybody else starts, when y'all send it out.
you're right. You're right. I'm gonna take the leadership on that. You know what I mean?
Great idea. So let me ask you all, in the beginning of the year, I don't know if you all do it, but a lot of people in the beginning of the year, they have a word for the year. And I was thinking, to me, it would be better to have a word at the end of the year that kind of sums up what your year has been about for you. And is there any word or phrase that would describe how your year has been? Treacherous.
Yeah, I'm ready for this year to be over. I'm more wanting to focus on the word for next year because this year has been a bitch.
I've heard other people say that on the way here.
I be trying not to laugh. She always says something with like a dark humor,
Treacherous.
and it's always funny.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Beyond what you just described.
Parenting
Yeah.
is difficult.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how old they get, it's still challenging. Then I have one that's on going through a transition with going from high school to college, and that's exciting, but it's still stressful. Or he's just now getting to the point where he's thinking about going to college. Because at first it was a strong no, so, and I was open to letting him do the journey. But the thing that's important to me is that you fully explore all your options and then make a decision. And so he luckily was receptive to the exploration of all the options. He fully explored the military. He took the ASVAB, got a good score. If he decides to do that, he might. He looked into trade schools, and he's gone to some college tours and is applying to college. And now we just got to see, but still ushering that without being overbearing and making it fun. And, and then the oldest one is a free spirit. So ushering that to sanity and, still trying to let the youngest be the youngest while teach them responsibilities and all of that while going to work and actually working. It's difficult.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So.
Oh, I was gonna say my word for the year would be endurance. It's been a long year, man. And I think there was just a lot of highs, a lot of lows, in which you just had to really kind of grind it out and stay focused and consistent to get you through it. Yeah, endurance. That's my word.
Unexpected highs and lows?
Yes.
Tell us more.
Okay. I think unexpected, for instance, I think post-cruise, right, we came back in the beginning of September. I immediately went into a job search because I wanted to kind of advance in that level. And so that in itself, with the job market now, which is a rabbit hole of a conversation we can get back to in a second, was an expected low. So yes, unexpected. You know what I mean? I was going to the gym 4 or 5 times a week. At the end of September, I catch COVID. Straight out of COVID, I'm doing the volo things. I break my finger. And so I had to sit out of the gym for about a month and a half while this healed. It was a closed fracture on my finger. And so unexpected, and I think you just got to keep rolling with the punches. You know what I mean? I think this year just had a lot of ups and downs and bumps in the road. And if you just persevered, then you made it through, then I think that you come out a little bit better,
Yeah.
So that's my word.
What would you say?
I don't know. It's twofold. For mine, I guess I would say rebirth. You know what I mean? Rebirth as a parent. I had a daughter February 2nd of this year. She came early. You know what I mean? She was supposed to be, I thought she was supposed to be a Pisces. They tried to make her.
Aquarius?
Yeah, it's an Aquarius. This is the day after my dad's birthday.
Yeah.
And so she tried to, the doctors, they planned it around your cycle and everything, but we know when everything happens. So, you know what I mean? It was one of those things where it's like, nah, she's supposed to be like around my birthday. I was about to go to work. My wife's water broke, and that was way early. And she felt all of her pains or symptoms the day before, which was, like I said, my father's birthday, who's no longer with us. So it was just a different situation, a different thing. But you and I had a podcast, I don't know if it was around that time or a little bit before, and I was telling you about all the darkness, all the dark energy, everything I could see in media, in people, and things of that nature. So it was something that I was prepared for. So I was guarded. You know what I mean? So guarded, rebirth.
Right.
Those were kind of like the things that were shaping how this year was going to go, and it just seemed to have gone that way.
Right. Yesterday, I would have said that my word would be friendship, because my friends have been incredible this year, just really lifted me up, through highs and lows. But being at the beach today, I had to say is blessed, because I almost forgot that I had been laid off, because I was sharing this with a close friend on the way here, and I almost forgot that I was laid off. And that, I feel, was a blessing.
Yeah.
It was super unexpected. But I finally could say, that was a real blessing, because it was time for a change. I can feel the difference in energy, no matter how much uncertainty I might have at one point or another. And then I was, as you know, in a relationship that ended. And so that, I had a lot of hope around. And so being laid off and a relationship not working out is enough to say, oh, God, this has been a horrible year. But I've had a lot of blessings. I traveled. Before the pandemic, I used to want to travel so much, and so I traveled, and just being at the beach, I was like, wow, I just, to be at the beach and, by the ocean so many times this year, where I really get buoyed, just a lot of blessings.
Yeah.
Just a lot.
Different bodies of water, too, just not like the same body of water.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I've been blessed by friends and family, and, just a lot of things that were out of my control. Blessings have come through, and, so blessed is my word.
Word is fine.
I want to ask you, Justin, because you really responded when Russell said, when he mentioned that he could see darkness earlier this year, you seemed to sort of agree in your demeanor, or am I just reading something into that?
No, I think you were talking about the media and kind of feeding you darkness.
Yeah, sure.
Y'all know how I give it up in the chat. You know what I'm saying? I think it's all a ruse. You know what I mean? I think everything we're being fed is in a form of control. And don't get me down my rabbit hole right now. But yeah, I don't watch the news. You know what I mean? In that capacity, I'm not a daily subscriber. I have certain topics and stuff that I follow through research. You know what I mean? And I do studies on stuff. That I want to take up some knowledge in, but I don't like to follow what they're wanting me to follow, so to speak. I never really trusted that.
What do you think they want you to follow?
Oh boy. Bullshit.
Hysteria.
Politics. What you say? What was your word?
Hysteria.
You know what I mean? Chaos. You know, it's all distraction. I feel like from what's really going on in the back rooms in the fine print. And so, I've always been somebody that's kind of tries to watch for sudden movements in chaos. You know what I mean? Because I feel like that's where the real strength comes from. Where everybody else is looking over here, type of thing. Like, look at my hand while I hit you with this one, type of thing. You know, my TED Talk. Sorry.
Even when I said in media, I meant like entertainment as well.
Yeah.
Like if you look at all the albums that came out, even when you look at the top of the year, like top of last year when Travis Scott dropped Utopia, but everything was dark. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Vince
shit,
Staples dropping like Dark Times.
Yeah.
When you look at both of the Future albums and you look at the covers of that artwork and the I mean, all three, even the last mixtape.
Yeah.
Everything is dark. You know what I mean? The frequencies that they're pumping into us is dark. And so it's kind of one of those things where you kind of got to guard your heart, your spirit, to not take in so much of that, because we all have it. I mean, depending upon what you believe, but I believe in duality in that way. Like, I'm just as much good as I am evil, so you gotta try to do what you can to stay away from the darkness. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna put you on the spot. I can move on.
I mean, I don't have anything especially deep to say, but in what you were saying, that's why I kind of didn't like Christian listening to Playboy Cardi.
Yeah,
Ooh.
for sure.
Because his music just sounds so dark and demented. Luckily, he moved out of that phase.
What is he like now?
I don't know. When he was going through, he listened to NBA YoungBoy, and he would play the music for me, and I could hear and relate. I could, see why he listened to him and how he could relate to it. So I don't know what he's listening to right now, because he avidly said that he is not listening to Kendrick or Drake.
Well, you know what? That's something about him that I can totally relate to, not just because we're both Pisces or our birthdays are so close, but there's a part of us that wants to be a nonconformist, but there's another part of us that understands that you have to go with the flow. So that's kind of like a big battle with us as a Pisces. Like, we want to be original. That's like our first natural instinct. So like when everybody's doing something and you're trying to push it on us, that's when we rebel the most. I know you said Alani's a free spirit, but he's just as much a free spirit, if not more. But he's controlled in his own understanding of like what the world is. If you don't box him in, he's fine. The minute you box him in, he has to break out. You know what I mean? So we're the type of people that can digest stuff that doesn't seem right, like a Playboy Cardi, but understanding when we come out of it, we're coming out of it with knowledge. You know what I'm saying? And I had to do a lot of that when I researched certain things. Like when I was actually researching the Illuminati, I wasn't researching it like how mainstream people do it, or just like hood shit. Like I was really looking into it. I was looking into Aleister Crowley. I was looking into all of these people that, had different influences on different religions and different things. And a lot of people would say that's witchcraft. A lot of people would say that's devil worship. And you got to be cool with not like saying it out loud. Like you can't digest this information that's a conspiracy and then go blurt it out to everybody, which is what people like to do. But when you really digest it and understand what it is, it's not because you believe it. It's just more or less because you're trying to have the knowledge to go against whatever you're going against. You know what I'm saying? So,
be informed.
Yeah, you got to be informed, but more so than being informed, you got to understand it from that person's perspective. So like if I were talking to somebody and I'm a Muslim and they're a Christian and I don't understand Christianity, I can't really combat that person in the first place because I don't even understand the angle that you're coming from. Forget being informed. Why do you believe what you believe? Why are you so passionate about what you believe? And vice versa. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, when you brought that up, the dark energy earlier this year, like now I understand. And I don't like dark. I don't like negative. And not that I don't like reality or I can't deal with reality, but now I have a better sense of the power of negative energy, just as there's a power with positive energy. Yeah. Like both are real in the sense that they can be a force
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I fight every day to be super positive. I fight every day to do the right thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like so many times people can see me a certain type of way and not understand that what's internal is way different. You know what I mean? I got a fire in me. I got an anger in me. I got a passion in me about things. You know what I'm saying? And so I gear all of that towards protection. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how I channel it. Like, okay, I got all this heat on me. It's just to protect the people I love. It's not supposed to be used for mindless aggression.
Right.
It's not supposed to be used for something else that's not for good. You know what I mean?
Right,
Yeah,
right.
I think that's been a struggle. When you use the term duality and having the good aspects of you and the evil aspects or whatever, I feel like that is so true in fighting for the light, fighting for the positivity.
Yeah.
Because as I referenced before with my house situation, all I felt was vengeance and rage.
Yeah.
But I had also started going to church or restarted going to church again this year. Mm-hmm. And so there was very much an internal battle most of the year between wanting to go this darker way and being like, but that's not who God created you to be.
Right.
You know, and trying to make peace and figure out what the in-between looks like. How do I protect myself and my family and our finances in a way that's pleasing to God? And I know God don't want us to be punks out here in the streets.
Exactly.
But what does it look like?
So that's the test. That's the test. And it's, to me, it's more than just, it's everything. It's spiritual. It's hereditary. You know what I mean? The way that we deal with problems, the way that we deal with things, our anger issues, they come from both sides. You get what I'm saying? And so it's all about looking at everything that's happened around you and dissecting it and trying to see what applies to you and what doesn't apply to you. Because the darkness, the heart, that's the part that's easy. You know what I'm saying? And it could be anything. It could be violence. It could be sex. It could be overindulgence. It could be anything like that. Like, you may in your 20s look at sex as being like a badge of honor, especially for guys, but I know it's like that for women too. Like, if nothing else, being good at it, right? So in a way, yeah, that works. But if you overindulge or you don't use it properly, then it hurts you. You get what I'm saying? So like for me, in that situation,
to be good at it. Go ahead.
You said what?
It's still important to be good at it. But go ahead.
It's always important. It's always important, but you don't want to do it to the point where you want to show everybody you're good at it, right? Because then it comes with a whole slew of problems, right? It messes up interpersonal relationships with people. It does damage to kids and everything where you're like, damn, if I knew it was going to be like this, that shit won't worth it because I already knew. You're feeding your ego in a way. But I digress. Getting back to the anger portion of it, I feel exactly how you feel. You felt violated. And in violation, you want to retaliate. That's the only thing that you feel like can make you feel better. So that's the test for you, figuring out what that's really supposed to look like to be the best Tanya you can be, and also not having it affect you in a way that's visceral, whether it's your dreams, whether it's your everyday, your blood pressure, anything. You get what I'm saying?
And you use the key word to ego. And I feel like ego comes up so much in our day-to-day. And if we really took a step back and said how much of this reaction or this action is ego-based, ego-driven, a lot of things would change.
For sure.
I used to couldn't stand that word test, but it is a test in the sense, it is a test because you're at you or anybody who's in a similar situation, you're at a crossroads, and it's about how do you respond to this point that you're at, this height that you're at, this thing that happens that you said is visceral to you. Or me, if I'm going through whatever I'm going through, and I'm just like at this pinnacle where how am I going to respond to that?
Right.
It is a test. And one thing for me, I don't know that I've been through anything that extreme, but I feel that I know that you just can't keep, a person who's destructive against other people and causing other people harm, they just can't keep doing that with no repercussions. Like, they will get theirs.
Yeah, but see, that's the problem. That's the key right there. I need you to get yours now.
Right.
It doesn't serve me any purpose. It serves me no satisfaction for you to get it later. It serves me the most when I give it to you. And I'm sure
But
that's how she
that's
need
the
to
ego
know
part.
I need to know that you get it.
Yeah.
And
You may know. You may find out.
And
It's
then-
about wanting to control.
And then I'm asking God to deliver some vengeance, which also feels wrong, you know? So it's just a conflict. And that's one of many big ones that I've had throughout the year. So you used the word when you were talking just now, peace. And I think that is my whole focus for 2025.
For sure.
Is going to be peace. What do I have to do to protect my peace?
But listen, that's my life purpose. And that's what it should be for you too. You shouldn't just want it for next year. You should want that shit now. For the
It's a
rest of
start.
your life.
Yeah, it's a start. It's a start. And what we were just talking about, and this is the hard part too, but I mean, it's what I've learned is having a willingness to forgive. And that's, super hard when we want vengeance.
Man, that's crazy.
It's-
I don't focus on that at all.
Yeah.
Rick Ross said what I always believe. God forgives. I don't. I don't have to forgive. I don't put any energy into it.
Yeah.
That's for the Lord for you to get.
Yeah.
So it's about,
I
where you
to
are
the
with that
point
word.
I don't want to murder you anymore. But I don't know that because that has come up in my mind as I'm processing through that I have to forgive, but I am so far from that point. I'm not there and I don't want to be. Like, if I'm not going to kill you, let me still be mad.
Yeah, that's real.
So, and I can't afford to forget, honestly, because if I allow myself
to forgive or forget.
oh yeah,
Because they're different.
yeah, I know you're right. But right now, because I'm still in the thick of it, it seems, even though I'm moving out of it, it feels right now interchangeable, even though I know it's not. There is a difference. But for me right now, it feels like if I forgive, which I'm not even contemplating right now, even though in my gut it says you're going to have to, I'm like, no, not today. I can't allow myself to allow us to be in this situation again. So I need to learn and keep close all the lessons that have come from this.
Always.
And right now, because I can't separate only in this situation, forgiveness from forgetting, I feel like if I'm quick to forgive, I'll forget the lessons or the things I needed to learn and make us vulnerable to the same thing happening again.
Right.
I talk to Adrianne all the time, and I always say, what? Life lesson.
Yeah.
Anything that you go through that's just like ass. You know what I'm saying? You'd be like, yo, man, this was so stupid. And you want to get mad at it. But the first thing I think about is like, how can I never make this happen again? Which is alluding to exactly what you were saying. So it's very true. I mean, you just kind of got to like shift your thought process, and it's not even about forgetting or forgiveness, in my opinion. It's just, it is what it is. And how can you continue to just be the best version of yourself in those life lessons? Because I forgot a question that I was going to ask you, and then I remembered it when you started talking about it. And we were talking about ego. My main thing is, that's one thing that Aunt Adrianne always brought up to me over the years because of A Course in Miracles. But I always understood my ego and like what bothers me the most. So I kind of like want to know if y'all know what yours is. Like my number one thing is respect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the one thing that can get me out of my character the fastest. You know what I'm saying? It's not money. It's not pride. It's not looks. It's not vanity. It's respect. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's the one thing that makes me flip. But I know a lot of people, theirs can be like, I think my dad, his may have been respect, but my dad had a certain presence and aura and a way he wanted to be seen. Like his perception is where I think his ego was rooted in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How he appeared to others. And it didn't make him less real or anything, but that's just an observation. You know what I'm saying? So I wonder if you all know that for yourselves. And if not, maybe that's something you always want to look at, because that's kind of rooted in why you may make the decisions that you make.
You said something that was real key.
Bars.
Yes, you said something really, really key. You said the ego. and you added the thing that takes you out of your character. And that is key, because that has me thinking about it differently. You know, what is the thing that takes me out of my ego? And that's when somebody's condescending.
Yeah.
And when
you and I've had that conversation. So definitely I did.
Yeah.
That's a word I like. Yeah. Condescending. Like a question to your intelligence kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You don't never want to feel belittled.
Yeah.
Like someone's questioning your intelligence or making a mockery of your intelligence can get you out of your yourself.
I had to tone it down some too.
I mean, I'm not saying that for you, but I'm just saying that is like
Yeah. I had to tone it down a little bit because I started realizing I was a little bit just too sensitive to always feeling like I was being attacked when I wasn't. You know what I mean? A question towards me isn't always an offense. Sometimes it's genuine knowledge that needs to be transferred. And so kind of toning down the sensitivity, you know, allowed me to kind of have more patience with it and be able to discern a little bit better. But yeah, condescending is always going to be a trigger for me. You know, I don't know. Belittlement is a thing for me.
That's funny, man, because I always think these hoes don't know more than me anyway. Like
and when you say that, you mean man or woman?
Yeah, I mean hoes in my general.
I want them to know.
Yeah. I use hoes loosely.
I was like, she's right there.
What are you saying?
No, y'all.
What do you mean? Please clarify.
Y'all went to the next level.
Men and women.
Y'all funny, bro.
But that's never been
Generic term.
Yeah, for sure. I use hoes for everything. Like if I went to the store and I got something on sale. Like if somebody like, yo man, you know they got road mics on sale. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm about to cop 2 of them hoes. Like hoes like that. You know what I'm saying?
I know that because it's like, nigga.
That's the reason why I said hoes, because
it was all good. It was all good. But when she said clarify, I was just like,
I didn't say clarify. I said men and women.
I didn't want to.
Damn, that shit sounded wild.
I didn't want her to misinterpret it. I was like, oh.
she defined it.
I want the audience to understand what the family man meant.
Yeah. Man of God.
Oh man.
Nah, man. Nah, that's funny.
Yeah.
Little Kiki.
Just to answer your question, for me, being a people pleaser that I'm trying to recover from, mine is being misunderstood. That's going to make me flip my shit.
That's really cool, man.
Yeah.
Yo,
And,
that's deep.
as I work on trying to not be a people pleaser, I also need to let how I'm being, it's not perception in the same way as how you were referring to and speaking about Uncle Russell, but it's very similar. You know,
I get it though. I get the misunderstood aspect of you, like knowing who you are. I could see why that would be it, but I didn't know that. I didn't know that was a trigger for you.
Just to add 2 cents to what you were saying, I think I also struggled with that, and I had to kind of start thinking about how much effort I was putting into defense and putting my guard up to people, and then realizing that I couldn't be mad about the results that they got from it. Right? Sometimes they get so lost in my defense that they can't see a clear picture of who I really am. And so I couldn't really complain no more about them misunderstanding me because I was causing the confusion.
Damn.
That's wise.
And I think
it's introspective.
I think I still do it to a certain extent, but not as much. Again, I think as
it's natural to you. So
as the years have gone on, like I've just kind of toned shit down. Like, you know what I mean? Nothing's been like a night and day, hot or cold. I think it's just always a constant effort towards getting a little bit better at it. You know what I mean?
I have an issue with that big time. And I think about being misunderstood. Yeah. And I think about like, why is it that this bothers me? And I know it goes back to my father. I know it goes back to him because he would just form an opinion. I've told you this before. He would form an opinion about something and it would just be the wrong opinion. And I try to convince him otherwise, and he's just going to think what he thinks, you know? And then you, Russell, have brought it up to me that that's what he had to do because he's very similar. They're very similar. Yeah. You said that's what he had to do as a source of like protection or mode, like a stance, like, this is what I'm going to believe. Yes. Because this works.
Is this because he was a negotiator?
No. Inherently, that's how I am.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
He was a Pisces too?
No, Aries.
Okay.
But to
different.
Okay, so it's so interesting that y'all all feel that way, right? And again, I go back to my statement. I think these hoes don't know nothing. So if you misunderstand me, that's on you. It's not on me.
Yeah.
Okay, but I do understand why y'all feel that way, and it makes all the sense in the world. With him, I think inherently, he and I are very similar in stories that I heard from Aunt Adrianne and my dad about being a protective person and just being a person who's alert and peeping things. Like, you just have to go with what you know. You know what I mean? And it's okay to be proven wrong down the line, but you got to prove it. You get what I'm saying? It's not on me to sit up here and figure out because I love Justin might be right. Nah, nigga, if you right, be right. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you'll show me. You know what I'm saying? And I feel that way with religion. I feel that way about God. Like, if I'm studying something, Christianity will teach you don't listen to nothing else. Don't look at what the Buddhists are doing. Don't look at what the Muslims are doing. I'm like, but if God is that God, then I ain't got to worry about what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah. I want to bring something up. Were you going to say something, Justin? Say it.
I was going to say, do y'all think y'all have good delivery in your conversations?
Absolutely not.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
So here, I was going to feed more into, only because I really look into like why I hate being misunderstood so much. Impact versus intentions. I be having the right intentions, and I'll be feeling like, all right, well, if I just say it exactly how I'm thinking it, don't change nothing, don't soften nothing up, and just, you know what I mean? You're going to know exactly what I mean. And I just stopped paying any attention to how what I was saying was being received. You know what I mean? I think eventually over time, like, it just kind of, people stop listening to what you got to say. You know what I mean? Because they're already preparing for you to kind of offend them or rub them the wrong way in what you got, you know what I mean, and how you say shit.
It's odd for me because I'm listening to what you say.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a word person, so I'm absorbing what you say. But it is true that I believe that people really, it's more about how you make them feel. That's what they remember. And that's the impact.
And my problem is I don't be giving a fuck. Like, I got to say what I got to say, and I feel better after I've gotten off my chest. And I never double back and be like, all right, how did that make you feel? You know what I mean? It just be like, all right,
yeah,
that's what it is. You know
I want a response.
I think I'm a good communicator because I communicate the way you operate socially. So the way you operate socially is you can get into a room and adjust to people's personalities, right? In a non-formal, interpersonal way, right? Like, or in a formal, interpersonal way. So it's like, if you're talking to somebody's grandma, you're good with that. If you're talking to somebody's child, you're good with that. If you're talking to somebody's lady, you're good with that, right? But then when it comes time to get into an intimate conversation, you seem like you address it one way. I'm the opposite. In a non-formal situation, I'm baseline. I'm just the same Russ pretty much to everybody. Yeah. But in interpersonal relationships, I talk to people based upon who I've assessed you to be. So that means my delivery is going to be different from you, than Tanya, than Aunt Adrianne, based upon your personalities and the information I have. And so that's the only reason why I think my delivery may be different than, say, yours. I may feel the way you feel, but I just approach it differently.
Yeah. It makes you question whether or not you've done enough research or healing to even for me, to maintain like long term. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think it's that for you. I think in a lot of ways, man, your heart is always in a good place, right?
Yeah.
So you're leading with that, but your words may be something that's hard for somebody to understand. You just got to take the time to realize who you're talking to deliver the message in the way that you want to deliver it. It's the same fucking message, bro. Yeah. It's like, say for instance, Faye, she and I, that's my wife for y'all people out there. She and I communicate in a very, very interesting way. In some ways it's telepathic, but in a lot of ways it's just inherently who we are as people because we're both Pisces, right? Mm-hmm. So if I do something she doesn't like, it's always told in the form of a joke. And if she does something I don't like, it's always told in the form of a joke. Like, damn, you always leaving the top off of something, as opposed to, damn, y'all don't put the tops on nothing. You get what I'm saying? It's a different feeling, bro. So you kind of got to just like you said, know your audience, but your audience is just one person. And whoever you're talking to is the person that more than likely you have a very intimate relationship with, whether it's mom, grandma, girlfriend, whoever, you know what I mean?
I want to rewind for a second, but beforehand, I'm looking at you, Tanya.
I'm waiting for it.
Taking that in. Were you going to say something?
No, I was wondering if I alter how I talk to Tyrone based off of his personality. That's my husband for all y'all.
Yeah.
No. I just if I feel like I got to alter, I just won't communicate it.
Yeah. Well, you know what I realized in my last relationship? I realized that my lack of communication was more detrimental for me than it was for her.
Wait. Now, why are y'all like that? I mean, communication is huge. Yeah. You don't
want me
think
to
so?
Explain what I mean?
No. I understand what you mean.
Oh, okay.
I'm wondering, do they think communication is not important?
No.
Is communication important? See, it's essential.
That's not even what it's about, man. Like,
what's it about?
we received that. Yeah, I received
Say
what
more.
you said.
Yeah, we were taking it in.
Yeah.
We're laughing
Say
so
more.
hard because we respond
Say more.
at the same time, say the same thing often.
So for me, it's this, right?
I know what you meant.
If I don't, and I believe you do, if I don't tell a person how I feel, then that means I take the ability for them to make a decision to correct it or not, right? I take that away from them. And then I react to whatever it is based upon how I feel. So in that moment, I'm judge, jury, and executioner. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
And that's why it's detrimental for me, because I didn't even give you the freedom to possibly do what I want to do. I just made a decision.
Yes.
That's an accurate statement.
How do you feel about communication? Please share.
What do you mean? It's a broad question.
Well, intimate relationship.
There we go.
How are you with communication? How important is it?
This guy's the only one on the hot seat right now. You ain't really.
Come back. On a scale of 1 to 10. Come back. Honestly.
How am I? I think.
Give me a scale, 1 to 10, first of all.
I think I'm like a 7.5, 8. I think so. Being that's a modest answer. I think I'm very good at communicating how I feel about something. I think where I lack is my patience. You know what I mean? I think I could always be, better at,
It's very self-aware.
Understanding somebody else's pace ain't always gonna reflect mine. You know what I mean? But I do think I'm not like, I'm sure there's improvements on how I get my point across, but I think I'm pretty good at that.
Not to put you on the spot. Do you think your ego is what makes you not use the tools that you already have? Because you always have the right answer about yourself. In knowing that, what makes you not apply it? Is it just strictly your ego?
Because I be feeling like sometimes the pace I got in my head is the only one that's gonna really, it sucks. It's real selfish.
Nigga, that still applies though.
I mean,
you still know what the issue is.
Yeah, I'm saying like, shut up. When you say apply it, what do you mean? My patience?
So okay, you just had a understanding of what the issue is.
Yeah, I like patience.
So my whole, and anything else that you've been self-aware about.
Yeah, I'm here.
My only issue is what makes you not apply it?
Because I like my pace too much.
You so like your pace.
It's the selfishness of it all.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Okay,
it's like I feel like I have a great fucking pace. Okay. You know what I mean? I like the way I get things done. I think, the ambitious side of me, and progressive side of me, I feel like it's intact and it's above average, and I don't want to compromise that too much. You know what I mean? Because I feel like it'll have a direct impact on how far I really get.
Now, with our family lineage, do you ever consider that could be detrimental as far as stress?
Every day I think about my dad's sleeping habits and how fucked up my sleeping schedule is.
It's not even just your dad, his brother,
Yeah.
his father.
So
you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that is, bro. It's funny. What I am noticing, right, is how like all my habits balance out in a weird way, right?
Okay.
Like example, I do burn the count at both ends. I do, kind of do a high octane style life in regards to stress, lack of sleep, blah blah blah. But then I'm working out 4 times a week on a good day. You know what I mean? Then I'm eating right. I don't eat a lot of bullshit. I don't drink a lot of soda. I don't, you know what I mean? Like I'm taking care of the internals. I'm taking vitamins and shit like that. One of my routines impact. I'm not gonna pretend like I'm perfect.
No, I get your logic though. I follow.
And so it's like I'm just kind of hoping that like how I treat myself, you know what I mean, kind of will have its effect, balance itself out as well. You know what I mean, in regards to nutrition and so forth.
Yeah.
It hasn't bit me in the butt yet. You know what I mean? I still get checkups and stuff, physicals and stuff. So I'm doing well. You know what I mean? There's been no corrective advice yet from the doctor, but I could get more sleep. I could do shit like that.
Tanya, how do you feel about communication? Where would you say you are on a scale of 1 to 10?
I've been going back and forth with something in my mind. Not trying to be Captain Save-A-Ho or anything, but how much room do you give yourself for like humanity?
Ooh.
You seem critical.
I'm hella critical. Not a lot. Yeah, I mean, yeah, fuck up's a fuck up to me. Bad decision's a bad decision. I'm very like, I don't know the word for it, but it's like there's no wiggle room, for me. I think,
to make a mistake.
No, I mean, I just think wrong is wrong. I think a fuck up's a fuck up. I think not doing what you're supposed to do is just that. Like, you always can have an excuse to why you're doing. Like, my procrastination is an excuse. You know what I mean? Like, I'm fucking up. You know what I mean? Like, there's no. I'm like that with myself, and so I can't help sometimes, but be like that to others.
Yeah, I was about to ask you.
I'm absolute. That's the word. It's absolute. There's an absolute.
I was gonna ask you if you don't have compassion for you, do you feel you have compassion for other people?
I don't think I'm shit. Here you go. I am not happy with myself, and so it's hard sometimes for me to be happy for others. I'm trying to find enough love for myself, so it's hard to have excess for others sometimes. I think the mandatory sacrifices, right, is your family, your close ones. You know what I mean? But when it comes to the greater village, what the world, gets to receive, I'm a little scarce on that. I'm real uptight about what I have the capacity for,
There's something I wanted to bring up, and I want to get back to you in a minute. Okay, Tanya. I want to bring something up with Justin when we were talking about forgiveness about 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And I will edit this out if you don't want me to bring this up. All right. But this is about
56-minute mark.
This is about when we came back from the cruise was it 2018? And you got robbed. Remember that time?
Yeah.
And I was so shook when you called me and told me. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was
2017.
2017. Yeah. I was shook. Like I couldn't really operate for the rest of the day. And I remember talking to you and Russ and Big Russell, and you guys were and from what I understood from you, they were like maybe 20 years old. It was 3 or 4 people, and they were like 20, 21 years old. And I remember, as far as I know, I haven't been told they weren't found or anything, but I remember you all were like, look, they have to be dealt with in a physical, harmful way if they are found, and I felt as I couldn't be any more upset by what happened. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't right. But I had compassion for them because they were kids, See? Yeah.
That's what
And
we
I'm
going
gonna,
with this.
the reason I'm going there with this is the reason I'm going. The reason,
I was really pissed off.
no, I can forgive myself because of me cultivating self-love.
What you saying?
That's
right
not
now?
a joke.
I don't know what you're saying.
I
I'm
know it's
saying
not a joke,
that
but
you're
I know
saying
this reaction.
you're talking about not having love for other people, not having enough space for other people.
No. What you're saying when you said, but I had to have forgiveness in myself. What you needed to forgive about yourself?
You're asking me?
Yeah, you said, but I had to find forgiveness in myself.
Anything that I do, anything that I do wrong, anything through the course of life that I do wrong, being able to talk to God about it, forgive myself about it.
No, you tangenting off. You tangenting off. Come back to the robbery.
Yeah.
What's your point about the robbery?
Because I'm comparing how I felt about that situation, and they caused so much danger, potential danger, harm, everything. And at the same time, when I heard how old they were, I thought they are kids.
Yeah, no.
They don't understand what they're doing.
Entirely wrong thought.
So
I mean, I disagree. We're not going to agree on this. We're not going to agree on that.
Okay, so I can just kind of. Was there a question at the end of that?
No, it was just a statement.
She's relating the compassion.
Yeah. So what I'll say. Kind of bringing it back to. Yeah. I think the short answer is I can forgive. I just don't forget. And I think I had to associate.
I don't think we're called to forget.
And so, like, I think
we're called to forgive.
I think my response or my response to anything or retaliation to anything has nothing to do with forgiveness. You know, exactly. I could forgive you and still respond. Exactly. How I feel. That's all about me, how I choose to remember what you did. Exactly. And so for me, you know what I mean?
You can forgive and still respond in a harmful way.
I can forgive and still respond. You know what I mean?
In a harmful way?
I don't know.
I could kill somebody and forgive them.
Respectfully.
Okay.
Like I can forget.
It's messed up.
There's no correlation.
There's no hard feelings because you gone.
there's no correlation to me then in that. I think all response and action is on the memory side of things. You know what I mean? Yeah. Forgiveness is about your karma. Yeah, that's about you just cleaning your conscience. I'm fine. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
how I feel.
You know what I mean? I forgive you. You know what I mean? Now you feel good about yourself. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean I'm forgetting everything you just did. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean I'm changing how I'm going to act towards you. You know, it doesn't absolve you.
And
anything,
let me be clear.
I mean?
I'm not saying they're the same thing. Forgiving and forgetting.
But bringing it to the robbery, like, I forgive them for sure. You know what I mean? I think I thought that's where we were going in the beginning. Yeah, I totally. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I don't think you have to forgive them, and you don't have to do anything. But I don't think like you said, I don't think it's a correlation between the two. So just because I choose to do nothing doesn't mean that I forgive you.
There you go.
And just because I do something to you doesn't mean I don't forgive you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just what I did in the moment.
It's just my response.
It's how I handled the judgment that I wanted to lay down because God, unfortunately, let this happen to you.
Judgment's a great word.
You know what I'm saying?
Judgment.
What are you thinking, Tanya?
Judgment.
Go back to communication. Where are you?
She's still on humanity.
Yeah.
Okay, so when it comes to communication, I think I don't communicate well. It's two areas in which I don't communicate well. Number one, it's when I'm feeling insecure myself, I communicate in an overly aggressive way to compensate for the insecurity that I feel.
Okay.
That's one. The other one is I don't feel like I communicate well with the people that I love the most. I keep a lot.
Bars.
Yeah.
And there's a lot left unsaid.
Yeah. You pull punches.
It's grace.
To the people. Yeah, but
I don't think it's grace.
It's grace out of love.
Sometimes
that's where the intention is. My bad.
Yeah, sometimes it's pulling punches in a way that could lead to more confusion.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So because I'm holding back, there's a lot left unsaid that in turn can cause even more confusion that was necessary.
But who's that causing the confusion for?
Everybody.
It's causing the confusion for you, though.
Not just for me.
That's what I was saying about my communication.
For everybody, too, for the receiver or the person that doesn't get. Yeah, it relates to what you're saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, and I can think about, I have examples in every relationship that's important to me.
Yeah.
And when I say that, I mean family.
I know what you mean.
Or like 20-year friendships like Tiffany.
I know what you mean.
But so those are two areas where I need to improve. And I'm getting there with the kids because I'm starting with them first.
That's a good place to start.
And so, you know, I'll and Christian may look at me crazy. I'm like, listen, I already know, but I just got to say it, you know? And so I think our communication is improving. So I have to like build on that and expand out.
When he evolves into like who he's really gonna be, and there's no like time frame on that, but I envision it to be sooner than later. I think that will be probably one of your most enriching relationships, not taking away anything from anyone else, because I believe who he is as a person and how his brain works, it's always going to be an open, judgment-free zone, even if you've had judgments just because of your relationship.
Man,
you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Just because of your relationship.
It's like that. The things that this boy has said that I've had to keep a straight face for.
Yeah. Nah, it's the realest. It's the realest,
but
yo.
it's like, all right, that's where we're at. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, so it's already that.
Yeah.
I would say, and it's only going to build exponentially on top of that.
I'll say this, and this is just me being vulnerable about how my life was, and you don't have to respond to it or nothing. To me, being a young Pisces and having issues with my mom, there's always going to be this, you start off perfect, and as your humanity shines through, it makes it harder for a Pisces male to deal with because you internalize it as betrayal. Mm-hmm. So it's like if your mom says something that you never thought you wanted her to say to you, or if she does something that you never thought you wanted her to do to you, you feel betrayed. And what that makes you do is create distance and space as a barrier. But what happens also as a Pisces, you internalize who she is, and as you grow, you see her as a human. And when you see her as a human, the good part is the love never went anywhere. So your hardest conversations, your biggest spats, all of that stuff is really surface because the love is always where the love was in the beginning.
Yeah, that's 100% true. Because I know that Christian has had issues with trust and trusting females. So internally, I'm like, okay, what have I done to create this problem for him?
It's always going to be like that for us.
And so that's something that, you know, I kind of went within to acknowledge. And I also know the type of mother I've been to him. So I can give myself grace.
Yeah.
There. I know I've made some mistakes and maybe contributed to his lack of trust in some way. But I also know how I've showed up.
Exactly.
You know, for
and he
him.
knows that.
So
he knows that. And as he sees the world in whatever way he sees it, he'll know that. You get what I'm saying? Because you always reflect on what happened in your life, you know, and how things were, and then you compare it in other situations, and that's how you kind of understand like what's what. You know what I'm saying?
I know when we talked about ego before, and one of the things that I struggle with when it comes to my ego in parenting is that some of the responsibility, and I'll say this in a blanket statement, some of the responsibility that's laid at the parents' feet is not actually the parents' fault.
Right.
And you want to, because I don't like being misunderstood, I want to advocate for myself and be like, no, this is what actually happened.
Right.
You know, but you can't.
Not with him.
With
any of your
anybody,
kids.
it's not fair.
But you can't do that with your kids.
Yeah, you can't do that with your kids. It's not fair to the child.
Exactly.
You know, so you kind of have to eat that.
Wait, you said something. You said the responsibility that's laid at the parents' feet is not necessarily the parents' fault. And what you mean is the situation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I can assure you there are things that he think is entirely my fault that I had nothing to do with. But it's not fair to him to be like, this is what really happened. So because what I would be doing is dumping all this stuff on him to absolve myself.
Right. But there's a root.
My ego.
There's a root to whatever is behind his thinking. There's a root there.
What you mean?
I mean that he thinks what he thinks for a reason, and it comes from a place.
But it doesn't always. It doesn't.
I'm not saying that it comes back to her. I'm saying that there's something that sparked the thought.
That's that's what I'm saying. It's a very the mother-son relationship comes with a lot of tethering that has to be finely pruned, if that makes any sense. It's the difference between dating a guy that's a mama's boy and a guy that's not a mama's boy. You know what I mean? That doesn't come from the boy as much as it can come from the mother. You know what I mean? And if she's smothering him or if she's treating him a certain way. So it's a delicate dance between both parties that can end up with a lot of confusion. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of confusion. And so I think, like, for me, because I was raised around my mom and my dad wasn't in the house, I was able to see women as opposed to seeing them in a relationship, right? Like I may have had a more superficial view of women if I didn't see the hardships that a single mother has to go through. You get what I'm saying? But in turn, my mom could have made me a mama's boy, but she didn't. You know what I mean? She made me more independent and pushed me away and spoke on that because of whatever issues she may have felt. Like she may have dated people that she didn't want to be a mama's boy. So in turn, that's what she was doing for her son. And in that regard, sometimes you do stuff right, sometimes you do stuff wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
All right, what you got? Come on, on your phone.
I have a question.
Yes.
Sorry.
Nah, do your thing.
Do you think that our dad felt misunderstood by your dad?
Ooh.
Yes.
I know that to be a fact.
But I will say, I know I've shared
I felt
this.
like it was, but I want it from her opinion.
I've shared with, I know I've shared it with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I've shared it with you, Tanya, that Jeff came to, and I like to joke, I mean, there's truth to it, but I like to joke that Jeff was a middle child and he had middle child issues. And he was the youngest before I was born. And there's 4.5 years between us. Mm-hmm. So then when I came, you know, what I was always told was Jeff was like, you know, what's she doing here? Mm-hmm. You know, so.
Do you,
I want to say one thing.
My fault.
Please don't forget that question.
I won't.
But Jeff came to understand that a lot of the gripes that he had with our dad, that they weren't valid. Some of them were absolutely valid, but he came to understand that some of them weren't valid. And I still remember the moment. Sometimes when I ride down Roswell Road where I live, I think about, and I pass this gas station, I think about the night I was on the phone with Jeff, and, you know, we're talking and we just had this conversation and he's telling me, you know, I was wrong about this. I was too hard about that. So yeah, he felt he was misunderstood. He was misunderstood somewhat, but he also came to understand that he was also wrong in some ways, that he was really passing judgment on him, on my dad. What were you going to ask?
Oh, I see. Do you think he felt misunderstood by us?
I don't think he felt misunderstood by Tanya. And I think the only thing that comes to me when you ask that question was that whole thing with where he misunderstood the exam, when when the situation came up when you were taking an exam. And then
Nah, man, rest in peace. I lied. He was right. I was wrong. Yeah, I mean, yeah. It started off as a genuine, and for the record, I don't mind expanding on this. back when MacBooks first came out, that whole autofill card information, you know what I mean, would be logged into certain websites and so forth. And so I think we had used this card to buy my MacBook while I was in Alaska. We went half on the MacBook. And then kind of 6 months later, I was trying to do a last minute exam for school, and I went to try to buy one of the essays. And when I first pushed it through, it didn't go through. And I looked at it and realized it was his card, and I was just like, "Fuck it, like it's $30. He gonna be all right." And me doing that flagged his account. And so when he called me, he was like, "Man, you trying to take money from me?" La la la. And I mean, he was dead right. You know what I mean? I think somehow my young 20-year-old self, his delivery, you know what I mean? I found room to get mad and hit him with the whole "I don't need your money," you know what I mean, speech. You know what I mean? But in reality, no, I was wrong.
Yeah. I'll say this about him.
Yeah, man.
He and I had like an impasse at one point in our relationship where he had to learn how to love in a different way, because once he moved to Alaska and he was making more money and he was able to help in whatever way he could, that was his way of showing love, you know? And so that's Shiloh back there. So that was his way of showing love. And so if that, it's like you can live or die on that hill, you know, when it comes to money. So he felt taken for granted in that moment.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I think he was misunderstood, but I think he misunderstood y'all. But I also feel like he and I had conversations about both of y'all where I could see his side and I could see your side. You know,
Fuck my side, man. I was a kid,
and I could see because
you know what I mean?
because I think the main thing was it had to deal with that communication thing. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And the way he communicated with y'all was from a place of, I don't know, he tried to make y'all a little even in certain situations that we would have conversations about. And I felt like because he was the parent, he was supposed to address that with more grace. So while he may have had a gripe, it was also like, but you're not looking at it from that perspective. And it could be a lot of stuff that, to me, a lot of the conversations happened when you were in high school, of course.
I think he handled you selfishly.
Right.
What does that mean, Tom?
Help me out.
Because some things that were hurtful to him that involved you, he handled by pushing you away and not fighting. Like one of the biggest arguments that I got in with him was about him not fighting to be more present for you.
Yeah.
And he hit me with the, "Oh, but it hurts so bad. But you're an adult."
Exactly. That's how the conversation would go.
Wait. Let me say this.
Yeah.
To your point, you must have been 2.5, and my mom was living in this apartment where
Somebody told me the story before.
Maybe I did.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I was walking to the parking lot like you were going home. You were visiting because I was, in town, and you were visiting. And he wanted more time with you. And I had said something like, "Well, get more time, ask for more time. Like, just act on what you're wanting." And he didn't feel empowered to act on his desire to have more time. And so when he didn't feel empowered, he retreated.
Yeah.
That was exactly what I saw, in that moment.
And some of that during that time, I could see him not feeling empowered out of insecurities that he may have had. But I don't want you to make the same mistake that he did.
In what regard?
In regards to being so critical and so, holding all those feelings, regrets, being so hard on yourself, like all of that is what led to his early demise. You can be doing everything right, but the stress in trying to do everything right can still lead you to the same result. So you have to give yourself room for that grace in a healthy way. So then he started coping with it, you know, with all those internal pressures or in things that he did not acknowledge or address, you know, in unhealthy ways. So even with you doing everything right and applying all that pressure, it's not going to do you no good.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that my dad was hard on them Russ and Jeff, in terms of trying to just raise them, you know, to be men. And that's, you know, they were just raised in a certain way in that certain era.
Yeah.
And I think they both internalized stuff, because I learned just in me going to therapy, like what my own self-talk was. So then I was aware of when I would hear the self-talk that they had, you know, and I'd be like, wow, like if it hadn't been pointed out to me, I wouldn't even recognized it, you know, in them. So, you know, I think they were both hard on themselves.
I'll never forget when I snuck off to New Orleans and pulled up on everybody in Slidell. Knock, knock. Guess who here, man?
Yeah. So I want to ask one question before we wind this down, because we got company now. Unless Paris wants to get on the mic, then, you know,
wrap it up.
We could keep going. But what do you want to change or do for your well-being in 2025?
Isolate.
And what does that mean? Say more.
It means being away.
Being away from who? From who and what and why?
I want to, I mentioned before, I got people-pleasing tendencies that I need to fix.
Yeah.
And so that's what I want to focus on, fixing that, you know, lock in on me, my wellness, my household, the things I need to do. That doesn't mean not see anybody ever.
Yeah.
But I've spent a lot of time trying to cater to other people, or worrying about other people's feelings or other people's impressions, or, you know, whatever. And I just want to power down and, you know, get brilliant on the basics.
I'm happy to hear that. Yeah, I'm happy to hear that. What about you, Justin?
I think I want to rest, recharge, and develop a routine. It's like all the triple R's.
And you've been doing that already, so.
Yes, I think it just gets interrupted, you know what I mean, with things like getting sick or hurting yourself or something like that. But yeah, get a good sleep schedule for sure. Yeah, I need a bedtime.
What about you, Russell?
Man, I got kids.
I got a daughter. I got a daughter.
It ain't about me right now.
It's not about you.
Nah. I am who I am at all times, so it's not really a situation where I feel like, oh, I need to do this to improve, because if I need to do it and I recognize it, I work on it immediately. But right now, it's just about, you know, various stages of fatherhood. Got a high schooler, got an elementary school.
Shout out to the cancer.
You know what I mean?
So you don't think about your, you know, well-being and what you can do for your well-being?
I'm well.
I'm well. It is well with my soul.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
I want to improve my eating habits, which I'm already on that road, but
Are you talking about some shit like that?
I'm saying, I said, well,
yo, you made everybody go in.
Listen.
Introspective, and you
That's
like,
why
man,
she
I'm
went
just trying not to eat.
Listen,
Potato chips.
yeah, that's real. First of all, that's an addiction. But no, we were looking at, you know, I was telling Russell that I was telling Russell that the marathon people sent this email with the photos from 2015 to now. And I like the way I looked in 2015, you know? Yeah. And I want that me, that physical me. And also I think about, I mean, I'm in good health, knock on wood, I'm in good health. But, you know, it's like at any moment in time, you know, a person could have a stroke and then a week from now, they could be in a nursing home.
Yeah.
And
I think
that's the last thing I want to happen.
I think if you was pushing,
Like,
if
kill
you was,
me first.
If you was pushing 2 packs of cigarettes and some whiskey a day, we have a whole different conversation. You know what I mean? You drink wine and eternal water, and you run marathons. I think you're in a good position to break some barriers for the Murchisons. You know what I
How
mean?
do you look different from 2015?
I don't want to say that because I was taught never to speak on it. But I was I mean, bro, you look. I don't want to be like you look the same, but I was like, you know what? Just shut up.
Listen,
you know what I mean?
the question was, what do we want to change?
You look great.
Or do for our well-being next year?
I get it.
And so I want to continue on with the groundwork I've been making. And one of my real fears is, you know, I was thinking today when I was walking, I was like, really, seriously, I'm going to put this on the video that I finally sent to you is I don't want to go in a nursing home.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I'd rather leave the earth.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
I get it.
There's a big.
I'd rather
in the
leave.
middle.
I'd rather leave the earth.
How do we get here?
What do you mean? How do we get here? This is life.
Reflection between.
I know, man. We just got real
that
dark.
is life.
All right, so
That's dark.
You
You don't
said-
want to deal with reality.
I'm about to talk to you about reality.
All right, talk to
So
me.
what you're saying is you want to be,
Cared for.
like, well, you want to stay in your crib until like.
I'm saying that I want to be independent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I am trying to take care of myself, continue to take care of myself so I can be independent.
Yeah.
Or
Yo, no, stop dressing up. How do you want to die? Is what I'm asking.
What?
Because you said
there's nothing wrong with that question.
No, because that's what we're talking
Yeah.
about. Because that's what you said. So, in your, like, what are you saying? Like the whole get it on video. What are you saying? I want to hear what you're saying right now.
I'm saying that if something happens to me, I will be saying, I mean, I've already done a couple of versions of it. Like, I want no.
Let's listen. I'm
No,
listening.
do not, like, I don't necessarily want to be resuscitated unless it's assured
Okay.
that I can be resuscitated and be normal.
Full. Okay.
You know, I don't want to be in a nursing home.
Okay.
Do you,
Like, I don't know how we're going to.
If
do you have a
got-
percentage on that? Like, so say for instance, you know me, not to be morbid, but something
This doesn't
happens.
bother me.
No, for
we
real.
here now.
But something happens.
Mm-hmm.
You're in the hospital. We all go down there. They got you on a ventilator already in a feeding tube because that's what they do. And we say, what's the
This is an
prognosis of
interesting
her coming
question.
out of this? If they say it's a 20% chance she'll be the same, do you want us to take that shot
No.
versus we already know
Yeah,
the
no.
only thing that's keeping you alive is this
Yeah,
ventilator
yeah,
in this
yeah.
feeding
So
tube.
what has changed?
Nothing.
No.
What do you mean?
So totally a safe space. We're just talking out loud right now. You know what I mean?
Joint went crazy
When,
off of potato chips. Cuz.
when we got to Houston,
Damn.
you know what I mean? I feel like me and Tanya were ready within a couple of hours to pull the plug on Pops. But you wanted to keep him there for a couple of days because you wanted to kind of give it a chance to see if a miracle or something would take place. And so we ended up not putting him on hospice for like 4 or 5 days. And so I'm asking you, what's changed in regards to that regard of how you process that information? Because we're going to be ourselves, respectful.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, is there like a difference in how you're viewing it now, or
No,
what's
that
different?
this goes back to Grandma, which was 2005.
Okay.
Jeff was 2014. 2014.
It's fine.
And so I know what you're telling me is true. I actually don't remember that little piece, but I know it's true. I don't doubt that it's true.
Yeah.
But I am glad that we had that time.
Yeah.
And I was very much aware that even though he didn't have any brain activity, that it's not about just our brain. Like, I could see his response to you. You know, I could see his response to Tanya. I could see his response to activity in the room. You know, that was,
Do you feel
so-
like it had anything to do with processing what was happening?
No, it goes back to Grandma Julia,
Okay.
which was 2005.
Yeah.
She went to the hospital, and me and Mom were at the hospital.
Yeah.
Grandma was fine.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, she just starts going out.
Yeah.
And we're like, we don't know what's going on. They're trying to revive her. Then she was still alive, but she was unconscious. Like, this happens right in front of us.
Yeah. Did she ever come back?
No, they went and they did a CAT scan, and I think, I can't remember if they did the CAT scan before or after, but anyway, she passed right there, with us right there. Yeah. And it was at that moment that mom decided she did not want a DNR.
Yeah.
Okay.
But did want a DNR.
Did not.
Do not resuscitate.
Do not resuscitate.
Right.
She did not want a DNR because she became in-home hospice.
Yeah.
And so I don't want a DNR. I don't have to be kept alive.
You do want a DNR. So
yes, I'm sorry, I'm saying it wrong. Thank you. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
I only did it for the listeners.
I'm getting it wrong. He is correct. You are correct, sir.
Okay.
So I don't want to be kept alive.
My question, man, this is gonna be.
It got crazy. We hear that.
All right,
so
what's wrong? Ain't nothing wrong with this. Ain't nothing wrong with this.
No. I got to get personal. So for my mom, I'm the one that found my mom.
Yeah.
And she definitely was DNR, you know what I'm saying? And in that, I let her stay on longer because my Aunt Rhonda and even my dad, to a certain extent, when it became crunch time, he backed off, you know what I mean? Because it was like, I don't know if he wanted the guilt of assisting me in that or what, but I had to eventually come to the decision that she already made, which added guilt to me. My mom goes in the hospital February 26th. She doesn't die until May 16th. Trying to give her a shot. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But she never wanted to be resuscitated. So my thing is, why did I keep her in 2.5 months of torture? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's something that I had to let go. You know what I mean? I'm her son, so she would understand why that would be difficult, even though I had the knowledge. Yeah. Well, my dad, he fell. He had a seizure. He fell. I fly to Louisiana. He's in the same exact situation my mom was on. Yeah. Ventilator, feeding tube, right?
Yeah.
I look at him, and it's like I can see that he's just all right.
Yeah.
So I'm talking to the doctor and the nurses, and so at the end of the day, I'm like, what's going on? And they're like, well, we don't necessarily know. This is the protocol that we do when someone has a brain injury.
Yeah.
There's a chance he could come out of it. It's a chance he can't come out of it. And I'm like, well, how do we know? And they were like, he's heavily sedated. It's not until we take the sedation out that we'll know if he's all right. So I said, all right, well, take him off of the sedation and let me see. And like as 30 minutes progressed and he was coming off of it, like he's awake, but he's like heavily medicated. I'm like, yo, can you hear me? Like, Dad, can you hear me? And I just hear a grunt like, and I was like, all right. I said, I'm about to grab your hand. Can you feel this? Squeeze my hand. He squeezed my hand. I said, he's good. He's just got to come out. Came out of the medicine. They ended up taking the feeding tube and everything out that night, and he was able to talk. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so in that situation, you feel like, what's the difference? The second time he fell, the doctor's prognosis was totally different.
Yeah.
It was like, you know what I'm saying, he's gone. So what y'all want to do is like, nah, he ain't want to, you know what I mean? He ain't want to be like this. So you got to make that decision. So it's just difficult. That's all I'm saying. It's never like a real cut and dry, like.
But doctors do a decent job at letting you know what's what.
They try, bro, but this new age stuff is different, bro. It's like they go in and it's a typical protocol post-COVID. It's like,
I don't know post-COVID.
Yeah, see, everything was post-COVID with my parents. Yeah. So everything was, you bring the infectious disease doctor in, they're automatically putting people on ventilators because ventilators are life support, bro. Yeah. So like when your parents say, yo, I don't want life support, like that's what that is, but they're not talking to you in that situation. They're not talking to you like it is life support. They're talking to you like it's COVID style protocol. We're trying to keep you breathing because you might be all right. Yeah. But in that, you can't move. Yeah. So then you got to figure that part out.
Yeah,
we got deep.
We did, and leaving this earth is not the worst thing in the world. It's hard. It's hard for us. What's hard is being in a nursing home, being around people that don't care much about you. You got smells around you. So it's just day in.
Who crib you want to stay at?
Day in, day out. But all I'm saying is I want to be independent. Yeah. You have to take care of yourself so that you can be able-bodied and you can live the way you want to live. You can live on your own. All right, you guys. Thank you. So yeah, we were at Tanya's house, and right at the end, people started coming in, companies started coming over, and so we ended the conversation. But thank you so much for joining us, and I'm determined to do this again and have another in-person podcast conversation with them. In the meantime, I will see you on the next episode. Let's start healing.